7 ESPN The Zone.
Thom, can you get me a little typeset?
I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you?
You're tired.
Well, the lunchtime whistle and the morning's finally done. I'm jumping in my car, I'm gonna have a little fun. The Doghouse Network's on my radio dial. Big Dog's taking care of business for a while. If you're listening to another station I don't understand, 'cause nobody does it like Thom Abraham.
Give us a call, Steve.
He's a northern-bred, southern-fed, slick-talking guy. Listeners in his posse are the Junkyard Dogs. The SEC from Tennessee to calling them hogs. From Gainesville up to Lexington to the Tide and Tiger Land, nobody does it like Thom Abraham.
I guess I'm on here. Am I on? Can somebody respond?
The Braves are better.
Not the rest of my life, but my entirety of my 60s. Aaron Judge is going to be a Yankee until I'm 70 years old. I mean, that's just spectacular. The next 9 years, all of his 30s and all of my 60s. Aaron, next up, he'll be named captain. Then the 99 will end up in Monument Park and on the wall. Maybe a Hall of Famer someday. Now, can they win a World Series or 3 in the next decade? Well, pitching will determine that, as it always does. And how you handle pitching is up to the manager. And I don't like this manager. But that's a whole other discussion. Now, the deal that more of you are interested in is the Dansby-Swanson deal. And I haven't checked anything in the last 25 minutes. I just choked down some fried spaghetti. So I haven't checked anything in the last 25 minutes if something has happened with Dansby-Swanson. But reports are the Braves offered Dansby-Swanson $16 million a year for 6 years. Don't call me now. I'm doing a sports talk radio show. I like when it says potential spam. You know, I'm like, it's a spam. It even tells me now that it's spam. Don't be calling me on the spam. Talking about Dansby-Swanson over here. Reportedly, the Braves offered him $16 million a year for 6 years. By the way, $40 million a year for the next 9 years for Aaron Judge. But they offered Dansby $16 million a year for 6 years, and then they turned down. Dansby countered, or his people countered, with an offer of $23 million for 6 years, $140 million total. It would have made Dansby-Swanson the highest paid Brave for now. For now, you don't think that some of these other guys are going to get that kind of cake down the road? What is Dansby? Dansby's got to be almost 30 years old, isn't he? 29, 30? Something like that? So he came back with 140. They turned it down. Personally, that number of $23 million a year, what he wanted, when you think about the kind of money that's being thrown around right now, that seems pretty fair to me. I mean, Trey Turner got $300 million for 11 years from the Phils. That's $27 million a year. Francisco Lindor makes $34 million a year with the Mets. That was $341 million guaranteed. By the way, back to Trey Turner for a second. It's being reported that Trey Turner turned down $340 million guaranteed, $342 million guaranteed from the Padres to take $300 million from the Phillies. But he's an East Coast guy, His wife is from just outside of Philadelphia. So there's a guy. Now, look, cry me a river. I'm going to take $300 million instead of $340 million. But I'm going to live in New York, or I'm going to live in Philly, I should say. I'm going to live in Philly instead of living in San Diego. I mean, the biggest problem with San Diego is it's in Mexico. But the biggest problem with San Diego is it's in California. He'll be in Philadelphia by the family. So that's good. Swanson is liable to end up a Cub at this point. Let's hope not. But right now, it's very possible he's going to end up a Chicago Cub. Also, it looks like closer Kenley Jansen is gone, right? He signed with the Red Sox on a 2-year deal. Cub or Brave fan. How do you feel about that? I mean, he was like 3.38 ERA last year. I think he can live without him, maybe. And the Mets continue to build their rotation. How about the Mets adding Jose Quintana from the Pirates in a lineup that already has Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander at the top? Why can't I talk today? See, that's what happens when I eat before the show. If I eat before the show, I can't talk properly. In any event. So the Phillies have gotten better. The Mets have gotten better. And the Braves right now are treading water. It might get worse if they've lost their closer, and they might lose Dansby Swanson. We'll see how badly Dansby wants to be an Atlanta Brave. If you know what you want to talk about, the phone lines are open now. 256-5764-97. How about mixing some country hardball in? Look, there's no college football this weekend other than the Army-Navy game, which we love the Army-Navy game, but we don't talk about the Army-Navy game beforehand. We talk about it afterwards and the fact that both teams ran for 400 yards and all that stuff. We talk about the fact that the Army uniforms look butt ugly this year. Unless you're under 50 years old, maybe you like them. I wonder how Crawdad feels about the Army uniforms that they rolled out. I don't like them. I don't like them. I'm kind of a fan of the traditional Army uniforms. Some of the ones they do, I don't mind. I don't like them. I guess the numbers are supposed to look like the way the numbers look on armaments or something like that. I don't know. And then they got like mud on them. Is that what it's supposed to be? Like mud on their uniforms? Is what it's like a gradient looking uniform. I don't like it. Okay, I don't like it. My dad was Navy. I ended up pulling for Navy anyway. But still. Have we seen the Navy uniform yet? I wonder what Navy's wearing. Shoot me a link to the Navy uniform. Let me see. I want to see what the Navy uniform is looking like. Put the crack research team on that. If you want to text the show, 732-9TA show, 732-982-7469. It's a great way to communicate with us. Aaron Judge's deal will last longer than my deal with the Zone. No, Aaron Judge will be playing for the Yankees for probably 3 or 4 years after I'm not on the air anymore. I mean, am I going to be doing this when I'm 68, 69, 70? I'd be maybe. If Wes would have me. I suppose I would. Grizz would be chomping at the bit because he wants to take over the show. What has Navy got on their helmet there? Craig Research Team has sent me the Navy. Oh, there it is. Now I can see it a little better. I like that. Oh, they got NASA. What are they? Space Force? Is this a Space Force uniform? Is the Navy... Wait a minute. Is NASA... I'm confused. What is this Navy and NASA? Are they related? I thought NASA was its own thing. See, what's it say about these Navy uniforms? I like the Navy ones better. Navy's 2022 threads are out of this world, pun intended. The school released its uniforms for the showdown on Monday. They are dedicated to the 54 Navy graduates who have gone on to become astronauts. That is, according to the school, more astronauts than any other institution has produced. Alan Shepard, 1944 graduate of the Naval Academy, was the first American in space in 1961 and served as one of NASA's first seven astronauts, landing on the moon as part of the April 14th crew in 71 of the Apollo 14 crew. They say April 14th crew. Apollo 14th crew. I'm telling you, something's not right with me right now. I know what it is. Navy's helmet will feature handcrafted paintings of McCandless's spacewalk. Bruce McCandless, a Navy grad, was the first astronaut to go untethered spacewalk in 1985. No, tether me, man. I'm not going to untethered spacewalk. Are you kidding me? I'm getting out of this spaceship without a tether? Are you out of your friggin' mind? Are you kidding me? Throw me a rope. He got out of it. He got out of the rocket untethered? 1985? No. Navy's helmet features the handcrafted paintings of McCandless's spacewalk with Earth in the background. The other side of the helmet will feature the NASA logo. The uniform, which will be white with red stripes and blue American flag markings, designated to resemble a spacewalk uniform. Oh, okay. You're supposed to look like a guy. The pants will... So this is interesting here for the Valley, right? Because we have the, Redstone Arsenal, and we have all the Army personnel that are here for that, but we also have NASA with the Marshall Space Center. So who are you pulling for? Are you pulling for Navy? You're pulling for Army. Army is going to look like, don't we have like Space Force? Space Force doesn't have a football team yet. Space Force needs a football team. We got Air Force and the Navy, which is the Marines, and the Army. Don't we need a Space Force football team? I think Space Force should have a football team. We'll call them Space Cadets. Oh, wait a minute. The Cadets is already taken. I guess we can't call them that. All right, watch the show on Twitter at 97.7 ESPN and on Facebook at 97.7 ESPN. Or on YouTube at WZZN TV or on Twitch at WZZN TV. Go to 97.7ESPN.com. Get links to all of that while you're at it. Get the apps. There should be information about the Christmas party as well on the Facebook page and on the website. I don't know if it's on the website. We need to make sure it's on the website. Our Christmas party coming up December 14th. It's a week from today, people. A week from today. We bring back our annual listener Christmas party presented by Talent Heating and Air. We'll be at Flow Trampoline Park on Drake Avenue. And this party is for the entire family. We're going to try and fill the Rambo Marine Malibu wake boat with unwrapped toys for boys and girls. And your gift gets you into the party. And if you're bringing your family, bring a few gifts. And everybody gets to eat, catered by Bubby's Diner. The party is from 4 to 8. And not only will everybody get to eat, everybody gets the run of the place. All the trampolines, all the cool stuff to do there, you get the run of the place with your gift. The party's from 4 to 8. We'll have live radio broadcast from there. We'll have a mini putt-putt contest for more great prizes, plus more. Party is brought to you by not only Talent Heating and Air and Rambo Marine, but TOC Sports, Valley Equipment, North Alabama Mortgage, Woody Anderson Ford, Bubby's Diner, and the Flow Trampoline Park. You can find more information at the website or at the Facebook page or on Twitter. Just follow us on all of those things. Coming up in a few minutes, Tom Luganbill from ABC ESPN will join us with his thoughts on the portal and recruiting and its impact on the Bowls and the playoffs, and if any of this will change in the future. Can we get this thing somehow? All this coach and player movement has got to get out of December. We got to finish the season. Can we somehow get this into January? I'd love to get his take, too, on the 2023 quarterback draft class as well. Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Will Levis, Anthony Richardson. Did he make a mistake coming out? And where is Hendon Hooker in all of this mess? Hendon Hooker, they're talking about him. He's a third-day pick. What do they do, 2 rounds on day 2? So day 1 is the first round. Day 2 is the second and third round. And then day 3 is the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th round, something like that maybe. Or maybe there's 3 rounds on what? How many picks are there on day 3? Because they're talking about Hendon Hooker as a day 3 draft pick. Does that mean 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th? Later on, at the top of the one, David Moulton from Monday Night Football on the SEC and CBS is back with his thoughts on the college football playoff, the NFL stretch run as well, with 4 or 5 games to go in the season. Plus, I got to ask David what he thinks of my voting for National Coach of the Year. I went with Kirby Smart, who didn't even win the AP SEC Coach of the Year. Josh Heupel received 6 votes. Brian Kelly received 5, and Kirby Smart received 3. South Carolina coach Shane Beamer received 1 for the AP Coach of the Year. Why do these things always go to coaches who were perceived to overachieve? The Coach of the Year should go to the best coach, and no one did a better job than Kirby Smart. I mean, look at what he lost last season. He had 15 guys drafted off of last season's Natty team. 13 guys left in the portal because there was no chance they were going to get on the field. He lost 4 assistant coaches, brought in exactly 0 transfers. And he goes undefeated in the regular season for the 2nd straight year, is 13-0 for the first time since ever for Georgia. Won the SEC championship. Dude is the Coach of the Year in the country. I voted him number 1. I voted Kirby Smart. Now, this is the Eddie Robinson Award, which I think is the most prestigious of all of them. Everybody and their brother has got an award. CBS has their award. ABC has their award. These people have their award. Everybody's got an award. The Eddie Robinson Coach of the Year Award, to me, is the most prestigious one. That's the one that we'll get, I think it's tomorrow night when all the awards, the Benerick and all that other kind of stuff are done. I voted into Benerick, too. How in the hell is Harold Perkins not even a finalist for the Benerick for top defensive player in the country? I voted for Will Anderson. But that kid, Harold Perkins, the freshman at LSU, stood. I voted.
Guy's a dog.
For the Eddie, I voted Kirby Smart. You know what? Josh Heupel's not even a finalist in the Eddie Robinson. He's not even one of the national finalists. Yet he was the Coach of the Year in the SEC. Get out of here. I voted Kirby Smart number 1. I voted, they give you a list of 7 or 8 finalists. I voted Lincoln Riley number 2, turning around a 4-8 team and putting him on the brink of the playoff. Jim Harbaugh, I voted number 3. Sonny Dykes, I voted number 4. And let me tell you who I voted number 5. He is a finalist. Let me tell you who I voted number 5. John Summerall from Grissom High. And Troy. I mean, dude took over a 5-7 team and went 11-2 in his first year, winning the Sun Belt. The other finalists were Mike Elko of Duke, Jeff Traylor of UTSA, Texas San Antonio, and Willie Fritz from Tulane. So they gave us, 8 guys, and you vote for 5. Over there in a little glass room, playing the Platters that Matter and Stacks of Wax and answering the phones and keeping us out here. And back after his unexcused no, it was excused. If he had a vote, he'd be voting for John Summerall. Probably vote him number 1.
Who in the blue hell are you? What is your name? It doesn't matter what your name is.
I'm the producer of this show. If I didn't step up, you're nowhere. I put this thing together out of spit and polish.
I think this is one of the traits of a really good producer. Keep the talent happy.
I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew.
Now, Tom. Hey, Tom.
Testosterone high today. Testosterone, whatever the it is.
It really doesn't matter what you think. All right? It really doesn't matter what you say.
Any of you play sports?
Hey, Greg. So, Grizz, are we pulling for NASA or are we pulling for Army in this thing now? Now that they went NASA.
I mean, to be honest with you, I'm kind of you know,
this is tough.
I'm iffy here because I do like the tank. I do like the tank division uniforms, and but I do like the NASA Apollo missions and everything like that associated with my grandfather.
Yeah, I'm a big Apollo
worked on
guy.
this mission. Jim and I
used to build. I used to build the Apollo. The models when I was a kid. I used to build the Apollo 13 models, Apollo 11.
I used to love putting the little paper planes together and the shuttles and everything like that because I used to get them for I used to get them in the bundles because of constantly just my mother's work, my grandfather's work. So everyone around here, especially, I know it's a big Army town. I know we're big supporters of Army football and everything like that.
We're a big Marshall Space Center town,
That's what I'm saying. It's like there's so much. I love what Navy did.
We got rockets up. We got Apollo 11 rockets sitting out there,
I really like it, and I really like what Navy did. I really like the uniforms a lot. I think they did a really good job this year on both ends.
Got a new voice today, don't you? It sounded kind of deep. It sounded big. You might get a girlfriend out of this show. Did you know that Bailey doesn't have a girlfriend either? I mean, what is it with you guys that mix the show?
He's a young guy. He's got plenty of time.
Young guy. I was married and had 3 kids by the time I was his age. Young
Yikes. Guy. We're working all the time. It's different now.
I hear that. I hear that. So you got to be pretty excited yourself. I can't tell you how.
Congrats.
I'm a 62-year-old man, and I am visibly excited. I mean, I was so happy when I heard that this kid was going to get $40 million a year for the entirety of my 60s. That's what he signed for. He said, how long is the big dog going to be in his 60s? And they signed for the length of my 60s. I know some people are saying that he signed for the length of his 30s, but he didn't. He signed for the length of my 60s is what he did.
Well, I mean, if you're a huge Yankees fan, that's huge. I know what you were saying earlier, about Dansby Swanson, but who knows? Vaughn Grissom might be the next guy up, and it could be more of a. I mean, he's working with Ron Washington. I think everything's kind of like. I think people are more focused on. I think AA is looking at the big picture.
You sound like you've turned a page already. Are you accepting that Dansby's not going to be a Brave?
I mean, it just seems like the counteroffers aren't working, and AA knows what's working. And as much as you say, Kenley Jansen's gone, everything like that, I think they're making the right moves. I think honestly they're kind of hoping on
moves?
I think
let everybody go.
No, I think they're kind of hoping that Kirby Yates can bounce back. You got Tyler Matzik that could come back off of injury. I think they're just looking at long term rather than just. I would really love to see him, but it just seems like everyone's going to have to take a cheaper deal if you're going to want to stay on this team. I mean, they have a lot of people. They have a lot of people locked in, and I think Austin Riley is that leader now. And I think if you're looking at the big picture and the future and everything like that, I don't know if Dansby Swanson is a part of that picture.
It's not like there's some small market team, though. I mean,
I understand that. I understand that they could definitely. Give him
$23 million, he would be the highest paid player on the team. $23 million. Yankees just signed a right fielder for $40 million. I mean, look what the Phillies are doing. Look what the Mets are doing. I just hate to see them get left at the curb.
I wonder if they could get Elvis Andrus on like a cheap deal. Maybe they could have Vaughn Grissom be the starter, and maybe you plug him in every now and then. I don't know what direction they're trying to go, but I feel like that the counteroffer obviously. I mean, it just seems, I just try, like when we talk about trust in the process, I think Braves fans can like really trust in what AA is like trying to bring to Atlanta. Yeah. And I think he's trying to like make it like long term and like if you want to be there, you got to be there. You got to want to be there.
We're going to get a little more country hardball talk in later on in the show because there's a couple of things that are going on around the game that I think are very important that we can throw in there. But Thom Luginbill is coming up next, from ABC ESPN. We'll talk college football with Lugs next, right here on the Thom Abraham Show. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Thom Abraham here from my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
Thom Luginbill here from my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
This is Wes Neighbors with Philip with Eagle Insulation, and we have an announcement to make.
Yes, Wes, we are now Eagle Masonry and Insulation. We're still a place to call for your insulation needs, but now we offer masonry services.
What kind of masonry projects can you handle?
Wes, no job is too big, no job is too small. We can do renovations, new construction, outdoor fireplaces, fire pits, brick landscape borders.
Well, when you came out to my house, you did both the insulation and masonry at the same time. You guys did rock for me, you did brick for me, and you insulated my house. That's usually done at the same time that you're building a house.
Absolutely. It really capitalizes on two services you need at the same time, and you can get one company to handle both of those.
Philip with Eagle Insulation will come out, do your installation. He'll do your masonry. They do a great job. They guarantee your work. Check out more online at insulatedwitheagle.com and schedule your free examination today. 256-755-1556.
Thanks, Wes.
The holidays are about spending time with family and friends. Brooks & Collier offers unique home, garden, and grilling gifts for everyone. Create the perfect gathering space when you save 25% on a new dining set. Save up to $400 on a new Traeger grill. The season of wonder is also the season for Brooks & Collier. Lucy and Ivy, they're hoping to be on the nice list this year. Spreading holiday cheer for over 75 years. 813 Meridian Street and at brooksandcollier.com.
No need to get your tinsel in a tangle. The Alabama Boat Sale at Rambo Marine in Hazel Green is coming up January 13th through the 15th. With over 200 units in stock ready to be delivered, Rambo Marine will personally gift wrap it for you. Seal the deal today and you'll enjoy the no-show Mordo Rambo Marine Special, a $3,000 additional discount. Mark your calendars for January 13th through the 15th to join us at the Alabama Boat Sale with Rambo Marine. Ho, ho, ho! Santa approved.
Football season is here, and as always, the best place to catch every game is downtown at Humphreys Bar and Grill. Humphreys is celebrating by bringing back their game day football specials. $2.75 Miller Lite, Coors Light, Yingling, and $3.50 Yellowhammer Gold Pints. $4 Fireball shots. Anytime football is on. And don't forget football trivia every Sunday night at 6. The best place to catch all the games all season long is downtown at Humphreys Bar and Grill.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You know, you'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4-RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman, once again talking about a mostly cloudy or an overcast sky with scattered showers and thunderstorms through a good chunk of the afternoon, early into the evening. Temperatures should easily climb, though, into the upper 60s and lower 70s. Only dropping into the lower 60s as we head into the overnight. We might actually get a significant period of dry time on Thursday, with a little bit of sunshine across the area. With that in mind, temperatures should climb into the low and mid 70s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Paul Feinbaum. Listen to me coming up today at 2. Now back to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Segment of Thom Abraham Show is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford and all the men and women that work in that service department that are standing by ready to service your vehicle. It's Woody Anderson Ford. Don't forget the certified gold pre-owned vehicles as well. That inventory is growing. The new vehicle inventory is growing as well. Go to WoodyAndersonFord.com, learn more about that. But, go down there some morning around 8:30 or so, and you'll find Bobby White in the service department, talking to his service people, because that's a primary, that's a first and foremost. That's the most important thing they do down there is that service. So they want to make sure that you get tremendous service, whether you got a Ford or not. All right, apparently when you become a really big hitter at ABC and ESPN, when the transfer portal opens up on that Monday, you get to go skiing in the mountains. You know what I mean? I mean, you're like, I'm going to go skiing in the mountains. So we get a hold of him. We think he's back from the chalet now at the base of the mountain somewhere. And he is, of course, Thom Luganbill. Lugs, welcome in. I don't know if you were paying attention to first day of portal or not when you were, swishing down the slopes.
Well, I can't count all 1,000 players in a 36-hour period anyway, so I just figured I'd keep track of it, jot a couple down that surprised me or that raised my eyebrow. And I'll tell you this, though, man, I'm not going to lie. I get the whole, hey, if you've graduated, you get to transfer, you get to play right away, you've got your degree. I love that. But if you've already had your one free transfer, you don't get any more. I don't care if you've gotten your degree or not. I mean, this JT Daniels stuff is ridiculous. I mean, it forces you to just have to say, and it doesn't just apply to him, but maybe it's the player and not the program.
That's a great point. And do they have to sit? I thought you only get one free pass. I guess if you're a graduate transfer, you could do it. But right now, I thought they were going to change it. Maybe that's just the SEC. You get one free pass, and then after that, you go back to having to sit out a year unless you're a graduate.
Well, I don't know what the SEC is doing exactly, but as it stands right now, if you've had your one free transfer, so let's just look at JT Daniels, goes from SC to Georgia, has his one free transfer. Then he gets his degree from Georgia. Now he can transfer as many times as he wants.
Yeah, so that's what's as a graduate transfer. How many degrees is he going to get? Is this guy going to college forever or what? I mean, holy God.
I'll tell you, I hope he gets a bunch of them. It's going to serve him well.
Yeah, apparently, because he's not going to be playing football for a living, that's for sure. So he's going to need to have as many degrees as he could possibly get. Thom Luganbill with us here. There were some surprising ones from Alabama. Javion Cohen, I mean, he's the most, he's the most veteran he has the most starts of any of the offensive linemen for Alabama that would be back next year. Trayshawn Holden and JoJo Earl. And here's the thing. My little insiders are telling me that none of these guys are being discouraged. And you wonder whether or not some of these guys that we tilt our head sideways and like, really? You wonder whether or not those maybe were some of the guys that culturally did not fit and didn't buy in.
I would say that it's far more than some of them, and not just exclusive to Alabama, but across the board. There's, whether it's Miami, whether it's Texas A&M, whoever it may be, this is a two-way street, and players will see the writing on the wall, and sometimes the coaches are going to show those players the writing on the wall, and then it's time to mutually part ways and go in a different direction. The issue with all of this, though, on behalf of the player, just look at this through the player's perspective. Who are they talking to and who are they listening to? Because they're clearly not doing the math. Since the 2019-2020 cycle, Tom, there have been about 19,600 or so entries into the transfer portal in the sport of football. All right. Roughly 40% of that over 19,000 kids have actually found a home. So when that music stops, you better have a chair. And so if you're a quarterback that's played a lot, if you're an offensive tackle, a pass rusher, maybe some tall corners, listen, you're going to have a landing spot. I get it. Aside from that, unless you've already been tampered with or you know that you've got a spot to land and be on scholarship, you better think twice because the numbers do not weigh in your favor.
Thom Luganbill with us. Those of you that are watching on WZZN TV can see his smiling face there from his home studio there where he joins us, or his home office where he is joining us. It's good stuff. Some of these guys, you wonder whether or not the Bo Nix factor. Bo earned himself some money. Bo got himself back in the draft, right? He went and made that move. You wonder about a guy like DJ Uiagalelei. Is that how you say it? Uiagalelei. You
just say DJ U. It's easier.
DJ U. You watch that guy. Yeah, there you go. You watch that. Thank you.
There you go.
You watch that guy several times live, covered several of his games. Hudson Card is another one that is a name that didn't look too bad playing for Texas when he was in there. But when you look at some of those guys, can you see a scenario where DJU or Card or one of them can resurrect their career, or are they just going to be on that JT Daniels merry-go-round?
Well, Hudson Card, I think, has more upside than DJ. I think what we've seen from DJ is exactly what he is. And I had somebody ask me over the weekend, well, where do you think DJ is going to go? And I said, you're asking the wrong question. The question is, how many actual suitors will want him and pursue him? Because the sample size has not necessarily helped him. Whereas you could make an argument that there were a lot of moments this fall where the sample size may very well have helped Hudson Card. I look at two quarterbacks in this deal that I think are going to be highly sought after. Really three. Number one, Spencer Sanders. And I think if you're Hugh Freeze and you're Auburn and that style of offense, you target Spencer Sanders and you push all your chips to the table. Because even though it's a one and done, if it gives you an opportunity to get off the mat, gain some momentum, accelerate the program further ahead at a faster pace than people expected, it's worth it. Number two, Brennan Armstrong at Virginia. Obviously, the mix was not good with Tony Elliott and what they put together and put on the field this past fall. But go watch the sample size of the previous two seasons of Brennan Armstrong at Virginia. He was really, really good. And I think lastly, and this is kind of the Bailey Zappi, right, who was at Houston Baptist, then went to Western Kentucky. Now you look at Austin Reed, won a national championship at West Florida. Then he moves up to Western Kentucky. Now I think he could be a guy that's fairly prioritized. And then the last guy, I think just because he's got a lot of tape to examine, is obviously Devin Leary at NC State.
How good? Let's talk a little bit about the Deion move. First of all, it's so unprecedented, but because it's Deion Sanders, we kind of have glossed over the fact that an HBCU coach just went from an HBCU to a Power 5 conference. I mean, this never happens. I mean, these guys, I feel bad for them over the years, have been pigeonholed. And, if you're looking for quality African-American coaches, there's many of them in the HBCUs, and they normally get pigeonholed. But kind of just, it was almost like Deion really wasn't an HBCU guy. Like the band director said, he ain't swag. Maybe that turned out to be true. But he's already announced that Shedeur Sanders, his son, is the starting quarterback at Colorado. I assume that some of these, the Hunter kid, right? He's not staying at Jackson State. Some of these other kids that Deion recruited will probably follow him out there. But how good was the Sanders kid as a quarterback coming out of high school? How did you and your team evaluate him as a quarterback?
Really good. He was a 4-star prospect for us in the back end of the ESPN 300. He was a Power 5 level player. And Tom, you kind of touched on it right there. That's why Jackson State got really good real fast. They're playing FCS level football in the SWAC with a lot of Power 5 guys. They also had transfer portal bounce backs from Power 5 schools. So their roster was a little bit different than everybody else's. So I think, he'll make the transition to the Power 5 level. How steep a learning curve we will have to see, because they're not going to put the best product on the field amongst their competitors like they were able to do at Jackson State in the SWAC. It's going to take more help than just that. I find it interesting in his press conference, number one, the message to the team, all right, that he sent, that if you're not willing to compete, just go ahead and get in the transfer portal right now. I actually love that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, your son walks into the press conference and you point at him and say, that's your quarterback right there. Okay, well then what you're essentially telling your team to some degree is at the quarterback position, there's not going to be a competition.
Right.
So what are those guys going to do? Are they all going to leave? You're going to be left with one quarterback on the roster, and it's your son? And what if you struggle? And what if you have an injury or what have you? So I still think there's a lot of massaging of this roster as it relates to outgoing transfer portals guys, from Colorado. And really the long-term success of this, Tom, will not only be measured by the job that Deion and the staff that he puts together and what they do. Most importantly, it's going to be measured based upon what are the guarantees and are they in writing that Colorado as an administration and as a university are going to remove or either significantly lessen their incoming transfer restrictions as it relates to transferable credits applying towards graduation at Colorado. That's the biggest hindrance there. And unless that changes, it won't matter if it's Dion or anybody else. That's the head coach. And so, I think the one thing that we've all got to recognize with him is he really showed and displayed a master class in how you can utilize the internet and social media and video platforms to brand a program. You can't get on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok on any given day of the year, 365 days a year, without seeing something they are doing to either promote himself, promote his kids, or promote the program that he's heading up. And I expect that to fully continue at the University of Colorado. In fact, we've already seen it over the weekend.
And we got to give him credit. I mean, he I don't know that he's sitting in there crunching the X's and the O's, but in terms of being a leader and a recruiter and a leader of a program, if he gets the right kind of coordinators, I think he can have some success. I am surprised he's out there. And this is, I am too. I don't know if South Florida offered him or not. I thought that they were in the mix for him. And I'm just sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, South Florida is going to be in an AAC that they could dominate very quickly with UCF leaving and with Cincinnati leaving and so on. And with this new playoff system of the top 6 ranked, conference champions, his path to being a playoff team is quicker at South Florida than it certainly would be at Colorado, in my opinion. And that's his region of the country. He's from Florida. He speaks Southern. I'm shocked because I thought that he could go to an NFL city like Tampa in an NFL stadium and make South Florida a thing where they were the highest ranked, team coming out of the ACC and an ACC champion almost every year. An AAC, I'm sorry, not ACC.
And really, the in-state player pool is the biggest thing. Now, maybe he wasn't offered the South Florida job, but as far as waving a magic wand and quickly transitioning a roster, that was a no-brainer to me. And, also, too, I think the biggest deal that's going to be different for him, unless they're scared of him, whether it's the NCAA, whether it's the Colorado administration, is he didn't have to answer to anybody at Jackson State, right? I mean, he's going to do what he wanted to do, when he wanted to do it, how he was going to do it. Will those be the same conditions, whether it's Colorado or anywhere else going forward? Time will tell, and that remains to be seen. But I agree. When the South Florida thing happened, I said, whoa. I mean, that is a no-brainer. If that's the job to come your way and they offer to, you got to jump all over that. It didn't work out that way.
All right. Just at a larger scale, we have got the transfer portal that opened up. We have got National Signing Day coming up in, a week and a half or so, or 2 weeks from today, something like that. We have coaches moving all over the place. Is there any way possible that we can get all of this stuff out of December? Can we please finish the freaking season first? I mean, it's driving me nuts. Now we're going to have expanded playoffs, which would be starting, and they would be starting like next week if it was playoff time. Mm-hmm. There has got to be a better way, Tom, to finish the football season, to have other than having all hell break loose right after the conference championship games.
Well, part of the problem is with the new transfer portal windows, they made the first window 45 days. You don't need 45 days to figure out if there's a place for you to land. If you decide to go into the portal, you probably need 72. You're going to know what your market value is real quick.
72 hours. Yeah.
Is the phone ringing or is it not? And so we've lengthened this period. It's only 2 weeks in the spring. I mean, I would have made it a week max. Get it out of the way. You know exactly what you have going into signing day, or you don't know what you have going into signing day. And right now, you don't know what you have going into signing day. Every program's still massaging the numbers. You're right, as the college football playoff gets expanded, and all of a sudden now we have football games surrounding this, as well as signing day surrounding this. I think you're going to have to go back and really rethink the calendar at some point, because the whole reason for the windows of the transfer portal was so that teams could remain intact and you could put a product on the field that you knew was going to be there every day. Well, what if we go into the college football playoff and now all of a sudden we've got the transfer portal and a team that made the playoff has 10 guys walk away?
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's absolutely not. And by the way, you talked about guys that are getting bad advice. Anthony Richardson, I mean, that dude, oh my God, that dude needed another year. He needed the Jalen Hurts year, whether it was at Florida or someplace else. He needed another year in the worst way, not to mention Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud are going to be gone. Will Levis, those guys would be gone after this year. Who in the hell is telling this kid that he needs to be in the draft right now?
He's either being convinced by somebody that on physical attributes alone he's going to be a first rounder, or he's just flat out ignoring any information that's out there, because from a productivity standpoint, he has no business coming out and entering the NFL draft. None. Yeah. Zero. And that's really unfortunate. But again, I could see the NFL doing it. They get enamored with physical attributes, and then ego comes into play. Oh, we can plug this guy in, we can coach him, we can fix him, we can, well, listen, the guy hasn't been overly productive in the time that he's been under center, and the sample size isn't overly large. So, and I kind of feel similar in regards to Will Levis. I know the team around him wasn't as good. I know he was battling injury, but Will Levis is another one of those guys that's got a history of injury. He's very physically gifted. Production has been above average, but certainly hasn't equated to the physical attributes. And I think that's where you get, a little bit concerned about what these kids are being told.
Yeah, I wonder about it as well. And you worked in NFL personnel with the Dallas Cowboys. If you're sitting there and it's the third round or whatever round, I think they were getting around to it. Well, somebody told Anthony Richardson he's going to be in the top 10. That he's going to be going. There was mock drafts that have him going number 10. Of course, Malik Willis was at one point in time like in the top 5 in these mock drafts, and he ended up in the third round. But if you're sitting there and Hendon Hooker is on the board and Anthony Richardson is on the board, where are you going?
Oh, well, right now I would go with Hendon Hooker, but you didn't give a good comparison because just about everybody that has come out of that system has failed at the NFL level.
No, I know.
I mean, outside of Patrick Mahomes and really Jared Goff, who's starting to look like he might be turning a corner, although he's not on a great team. And then now it's taken 6-7 years. And now what we're seeing Geno Smith do at Seattle, all right? So I would really only say Patrick Mahomes. Try to name somebody out of Houston, Baylor, Texas Tech, West Virginia, all of these programs that are some form of the air raid. Try and name one that has truly come and light the NFL on fire. Outside of Patrick Mahomes, it's very, very difficult to do. I would challenge anybody to do it. So I think that's what you would weigh. You would weigh against the physical attributes and the upside of a wow factor from Anthony Richardson versus a player in Hendon Hooker that's been way more productive than Anthony Richardson, but you have to really dive deep into that system and whether or not the player can translate to the National Football League.
You can make the same argument about quarterbacks that come out of Ohio State. But yet here comes another one in C.J. Stroud. Now, Justin Fields, the book is way still open on that guy. I mean, he does some things that are spectacular. Everybody goes nuts. ESPN goes crazy. They put them all over the stats. Oh, by the way, they got beat by 14 points. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just every time the kid does, a 30-yard run, that's all we see, and then nobody's talking about the 30% completion percentage that he had in the game. But having said that, there's C.J. Stroud is next one up out of Ohio State, and yet Bryce Young is coming out, slight in build. He's coming out, but now all of a sudden we've got a couple of former Alabama quarterbacks in Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Hurts that are MVP candidates. So I wonder how that changes how people might look at Bryce Young. What's your thought on C.J. versus Bryce Young?
Well, obviously it's very tragic what happened with Dwayne Haskins, but from a physical attributes standpoint, I feel like C.J. Stroud's a little bit of a Dwayne Haskins 2.0.
Right.
Very, very similar in production, very, very similar in skill set. I think, and you're right, with Ohio State and the guys that have come out of there, I think the jury's still out on Justin Fields because he's on a bad team and he does make some spectacular plays. But Cardale Jones, it didn't work there. Braxton Miller had to transfer to wide receiver, gets a cup of coffee. I think what you have to then do is you have to start to really examine and weigh Bryce Young's lack of ideal measurables when it comes to checking boxes versus Bryce Young's attributes that you cannot coach. And for my money, I would take Bryce Young's attributes that you can't coach and trump all of the other stuff. Decision-making, accuracy, athleticism, mental toughness, competitive temperament, all of these things just happen to be in a body that's 6 foot, 90 pounds maybe, soaking wet if they're telling the truth.
Yeah, now
So,
if he's working out. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so and not to say that CJ Stroud doesn't have those types of things. Not to say that at all. But again, you start to wonder, does the offense translate to the NFL level? Just like you wonder if the air raid offense translates to the NFL level. It's something as a GM or a head scout or a head coach would really, really have to peel back the layers on.
Always a pleasure. Does a tremendous job joining us here on WZZN TV and on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone, of course, and brought to us by Woody Anderson Ford. It's Thom Luginbill. Lugs, I appreciate you. We'll just talk about the recruiting classes next week as we get ready for signing day, because we all know that's signing day. I mean, come on. There'll be crumbs left by the time we get to February. So we'll talk about that next.
All right, man. Talk to you Monday.
I appreciate you. Thom Luginbill. It's great stuff. All right, let's get a break. We'll come back, close up hour number 1 next, right here on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com. SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
Hey there, folks. Head fry cook Bob Baumhauer here, and I just want to say thank you for allowing Baumhauer's Victory Grill to serve you for 40 legendary years. When I first delivered Alabama's first taste of buffalo wings back in 1981, people thought I was crazy. For the first few years, I had to give wings away. Imagine that. 40 years later, I'm still proud to serve the great people and visitors of Alabama our famous buffalo wings and much more. Here's to 40 years of legendary fun, legendary food, and many, many more.
At Bryant Bank, we believe your goals are worth chasing, and every step along the way is worth celebrating. From your hopes for the future to the challenges that keep you up at night, we're here for you. Bryant Bankers put care into action to help you live legendary by stepping up when you need us most and doing what's right even when no one is watching. Come experience a local bank whose people greet you by name and treat you like family. Bryant Bank, member FDIC.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Who knows comfort? Well, comfort is our middle name. If your home isn't as comfortable as you want it to be, we can fix that. We service all makes and brands of heating and cooling systems, even if we didn't install them. So give us a call at Environmental Comfort Systems or visit our website at envcomfort.com. We are your independently owned American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer. Alabama license number 92314. Environmental Comfort Systems. That's envcomfort.com.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Great food and the best live entertainment is what it's all about at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. Head to downtown Huntsville every Tuesday for karaoke on the only outdoor karaoke stage in North Alabama. Thursday night is the Valley's longest running and biggest bike night. Food and drink specials, giveaways, and live music on the patio. And the Furniture Factory menu is fully loaded with options from steaks to salads, plus a whole lot more. Featuring a weekday happy hour that starts at 3. 619 Meridian Street, downtown Huntsville, and online at FurnitureFactoryBarGrill.com.
What can you expect when you shop for a firearm at Bullet & Barrel? Expect great prices. We specialize in quality over quantity. Expect great service. Our professional sales staff is never pushy. We won't talk you into something that doesn't fit your needs. You have the right to make a smart, informed decision. Expect Bullet & Barrel, Alabama's only 5-star indoor shooting range, to support you after the sale. Bullet & Barrel, 3252 Lehman Ferry Road. Like or follow us on Facebook. Come see us soon.
Hi, this is Chris Stewart. The quest for a 19th championship starts this fall. Listen to Alabama football all season long on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
The 19th national championship is already over. Good job by Crystal filling in for Eli Gold this year. That's one of the big off-season stories, isn't it going to be? I mean, really, is Eli Gold returning to the booth? You know, is he going to return to his rightful spot in the booth at age, 68, 69? Is he going to be recovered enough to do that? I mean, that is something that fans will be interested in, I think. But, you know, that notwithstanding, I thought Chris Stewart did a fantastic job. I think Chris is really, really good play-by-play guy. And I think he did a really good job, you know, for the Tide. And if it comes to pass that Eli's going to retire or something like that, then I think you couldn't do any better than Chris Stewart. I think that would be outstanding there. All right, coming up at the top of the hour, David Moulton is going to be joining us from Monday Night Football and the SEC on CBS. We'll get his thoughts on the way this college football playoff came out, and of course the NFL playoffs. We're in the NFL stretch run, really, right? 4 or 5 games for everyone left in the season, and I got to see what David thinks about my voting for the National Coach of the Year. Wonder what his take would be on it. He follows these coaches. He knows these coaches. He's got an opinion. One thing about David, he's not short of an opinion. But we'll ask him about that. He's coming up next. It's a Thom Abraham Show. It's Hump Day in the Doghouse. This is 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Thom Abraham here from my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Aaron Judge's decision to turn down the Yankees' opening day 7-year, $213 million offer and bet on himself certainly paid off. Judge, after one of the greatest seasons in the history of Major League Baseball, agrees to a 9-year, $360 million contract to remain with the Yankees. He'll earn $40 million a season, the highest average annual payout for a position player. The Giants and Padres were the other finalists for the AL MVP. ESPN's Jeff Passan reporting closer Kenley Jansen and the Red Sox agreed on a 2-year, $32 million deal, bolstering a Boston bullpen that was among baseball's worst this past season. From ESPN's Pete Thamel, TCU's agreed to a new contract with coach Sonny Dykes, rewarding him for leading the Horned Frogs to their first ever appearance in the college football playoff. His contract's been extended a year through 2028, his pay boosted to be near the top levels of the Big 12.
Online at 977ESPN.com.
Stream them online.
Call in.
It's an important job, and it's an vital organization.
Tweet in and join in. We are 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
TOC Sports has been there for you. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what does that mean? It means for more than 20 years, Alabama's largest orthopedic group has been there providing coverage and care to more schools and student athletes in the Tennessee Valley than any other group. It means whether you are the star football player, the all-region volleyball ace, or someone who hurt their knee in a weekend pickup basketball game, TOC Sports physicians are proud to have the opportunity to care for all your orthopedic needs. It means for parents, coaches, athletes, desk jockeys, or even weekend warriors, TOC Sports physicians continue to meet and exceed the orthopedic and sports medicine needs of our community. But most importantly, during these challenging times, we're here for you now, and will continue to be here. So as long as there are players on the field, games to be played, and contests to be won, the orthopedic specialists from TOC Sports will be ready to help. We don't know what the future holds, but you can count on the TOC Sports team to stay committed to you, so you can stay in the game. Call 256-539-2728 today and ask to see a TOC Sports physician. Check them out online, also Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
NBA, the Hawks on the road tonight taking on the Knicks. Atlanta, a 2-point road underdog. The over-under set at 232. Bowl season underway December 16th. UAB facing Miami of Ohio in the Bahamas Bowl. The Blazers a 10-point favorite. Also on the 16th, number 24 Troy, a 1.5-point favorite against 25th-ranked Texas San Antonio in the Cure Bowl in Orlando. South Alabama minus 6.5 against Western Kentucky in the New Orleans Bowl on the 21st. Number 5 Alabama opening as a 5.5-point favorite over 9th-ranked Kansas State in the Sugar Bowl New Year's Eve. Red Hot winning picks at experts.winnersandwhiners.com. Save 75% on any best bet package with the promo code ACTION75. That's ACTION75 at experts.winnersandwhiners.com.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman, once again talking about a mostly cloudy or an overcast sky with scattered showers and thunderstorms through a good chunk of the afternoon, early into the evening. Temperatures should easily climb, though, into the upper 60s and lower 70s. Only dropping into the lower 60s as we head into the overnight. We might actually get a significant period of dry time on Thursday with a little bit of sunshine across the area. With that in mind, temperatures should climb into the low and mid 70s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You need to move more like a dog.
Like what you guys are doing. You've got your fingertip on the pulse of your listeners. Guys know what they're talking about.
Be a dog.
God bless the show. You are the Messiah.
We need more dogs.
This is the best show on radio.
The big dog, Thom Abraham, is here with you.
Hey, I see you, dog.
So settle in and get your bark on.
That's my dog.
Now live, here he is, the big dog, Thom Abraham.
How you doing? 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 How you doing?
Look, I don't speak Spanish.
I don't know how to say this, so I'm going to choose my words very carefully. I think you're a psycho.
Do you know who I am?
I mean, that guy sounds like El McPherson farting into Miles Davis' trumpet.
I guess I'm on here. Am I on? Can somebody respond? Get off my lawn.
I have to drag my Yankee ass out of here.
It must be Wednesday. I called it hump day.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Uh-oh. Guess what day it is?
Hump day.
Guess what day it is?
Hump day.
Huh? Anybody? Mike. What day is it, Mike?
Hump day.
Listen, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Woo-hoo! Welcome back. Hump day in the doghouse. A glorious day. I know it's 67 degrees, dreary, rainy, wind blowing, but it's absolutely a glorious day in the doghouse. Yes, exactly. There we go. That's exactly right. They're no better than they were last year. Right now, they're no better than they were. No, they are not. Especially when Dansby doesn't return. They are. Yeah, but you talked to me about the Mets, Eddie Quintana and Verlander and Scherzer in that starting rotation. The Yankees are just treading water right now unless they get some pitching. But better to tread water with the new captain, number 99, than to not have him. If you missed it earlier in the day, Aaron Judge has signed for the Yankees for the duration of my 60s. That's what. I don't know if you saw that in the release. I know some have said that for the entire duration of his 30s. Now he'll be a Yankee. What you didn't see was the part where he said of Thom Abraham's 60s. So I'll be 70 when Aaron Judge.
For Thom Abraham's request.
Yes. I said, look, just sign through my 60s. All right. I just want to enjoy my 60s. Will you, kid? Just sign for my 60s. So that's what he did. All right. Joining us now from parts unknown. I don't know. He's in an airport somewhere, I guess. David Moulton from the Monday Night Football crew and from the SEC on CBS. David, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Well, I'm not as good as you, obviously. Oh. And yes, I'm in the Jacksonville airport. So apparently there's a major problem, Tom, with a Charlotte flight. So you may hear another announcement about it any minute.
Are you incoming or outgoing? You heading for Philadelphia or already? Or what's the deal?
Yeah, I'm leaving early because I get a chance to see my mom for a couple days. And it's the only time I'll see her for a while because she still calls Jersey home. So, yeah, going to head early, and Friday night I'll head to Philly for my favorite football game of the year.
Army-Navy game, big in these parts. We're now conflicted because, there's a major base here with the Redstone Arsenal. A lot of Army personnel that live here, but we're also the home to the Marshall Space Center, and Navy is wearing NASA uniforms, and that has created a bit of a stir. So it's just kind of like this is like Space Force or NASA against Army in this game.
Well, I root for Army because my whole family is Army. My grandfather was in World War II, and my father was in the Army. So I root for Army, but I am betting Navy this year. Navy's much more athletic, I think, than this Army team. So
I root for Navy for the same reason that you root for Army. My family's all Navy folks. So ultimately I end up rooting for Navy. So, there's that. And then they've got the helmet decal. I don't know if you saw that for Navy is that dude that took the first untethered spacewalk in 1985. And the astronaut, he's a Navy, he's a Navy guy. And he was... I'm getting the heebie-jeebies just thinking about that. I mean, look, I'm up there. I'm in the rocket, whatever. I'm going to walk out of the rocket untethered. Are you kidding me? Throw me a rope or something, man. I'm not walking around in space untethered. I mean, that's impossible.
Exactly. Let me get this straight. I have to wear a seatbelt to go to the convenience store, but I'm untethered in space.
In space. Right. Exactly. One of our texters, Grumpy, says, you can't go for a spacewalk, big dog. You would have gravitational pull. Now, see, that's wrong, okay? It's just wrong.
That is wrong. In fact, that's the only place you and I would feel really good about ourselves.
So he's saying basically that I'm a small planet. That's what he's saying. I mean, that's just, that ain't right.
Well, listen, if you were a small planet, which one would you be? Let's face it, you and I would not be Pluto. Okay, although
no.
Pluto is no more.
All right, apparently that's not a planet.
I mean, we could insert joke here and say, one of us would be Uranus. Okay, but, maybe a little Mercury action.
I would be Venus, because Venus is for lovers, you know what I mean? And me, I'm Italian lover, you know what I mean? So I'd be Venus. No, maybe not.
Well, we know at least 9-10 times in your life you were, that's for sure.
Justin Verlander and Jose Quintana to the Mets rotation versus the Yankees hanging on to Aaron Judge, even though the Verlander thing might only be like a 2 or 3 year stopgap at most. Who's winning in New York right now?
Well, I've never been I'm a Mets fan, you're a Yankees fan. I've never been against the Yankees. I mean, until interleague play, they only played in spring training. They've only met in the playoffs once. I mean, why should I root against the Yankees? I don't see it. I mean, Chad and I have a legitimate beef. He's a Braves guy.
Right.
I mean, we go head to head. You and I should never go head to head until hopefully we can go head to head in October. That'll mean good things for both of us. But I mean, come on, Tom. Hal Steinbrenner, I know he owns the team and all, but if he didn't keep Judge, he wouldn't be allowed to go back to that stadium. He literally could not show his face in the Bronx if he didn't bring Judge back.
But there's always that factor of going home, and you would just wonder how strong was that pull. If the money was the same, did Aaron Judge really want to go home to his boyhood team? I mean, he grew up a Giants fan. His family lives 2 hours from Giants Stadium. I mean, when you're fighting against that, sometimes you just don't know, how that might go.
Well, I do think this is where California taxes didn't help. I mean, the Yankees can get close to the Giants' offer, and it doesn't have to be the same for the money to be the same. But, if Judge continues on his career, forget last year. If he just has whatever his average is so far in his career, if he does that for another 4 or 5 years, they're going to retire that number. He's going to get a monument. I mean, the Giants are a great franchise. Nobody can compete with the Yankees when it comes to legacy.
I think he's named captain sometime in the next few weeks. We'll hear that's the next thing is he becomes the next Yankee captain. There hasn't been one since Derek Jeter, and he's like a giant Derek Jeter. So we'll see if all of that happens. They're still no better. They don't get the pitching. They're still no better. They're going to win 100 games and get knocked out in the playoffs unless they get the damn pitching.
No, that's true. I mean, basically, this is the equivalent of Bryce Young coming back for one more year at Alabama. That's great. Mm-hmm. We still got to be better. No question about it. I will say another thing that Hal Steinbrenner prevented. Do you know who the Yankees open up with next year? The San Francisco Giants at Yankee
Oh, my
Stadium.
gosh. Really?
Could you imagine if Aaron Judge had come out of the visiting dugout wearing number 99 in a Giants uniform opening day? Could you imagine that?
Couldn't have happened. Okay, I mean that just couldn't have that. That would have been awful. David Moulton with us here. All right, everybody and their brother has got an award now for coaches and Coach of the Year, SEC Coach of the Year, National Coach of the Year, and whatnot. I am a voter in the Eddie Robinson Coach of the Year, which to me is the most prestigious one. That's one that will be given out tomorrow night when they do all the awards, the Bednarik and all of those other things. I don't understand why the Coach of the Year, like the AP SEC Coach of the Year, is Josh Heupel, and certainly did something great there. Second was Brian Kelly, and third was Kirby Smart. This is the old Nick Saban syndrome. I don't understand why they're not giving it to the guy that's going unbeaten back-to-back years. And in the National Coach of the Year voting, I voted Kirby Smart the Coach of the Year. He lost 15 players to the draft. He lost 13 players to the portal and added nobody from the portal and lost 4 assistant coaches. How is Kirby Smart not the Coach of the Year in college football, not just in the SEC, in the entire country?
Come on, you know the answer. These Coach of the Year awards almost always go to coaches who they feel got their team to overachieve. Can I ask you one question? How many games was Georgia an underdog in this year?
Because he's the Coach of the Year. You know what I mean?
Well,
it's circular.
No. You could make him. See, this is where, if this was professional sports, you could name him the Executive of the Year. Kirby, the GM, the recruiter, basically put the best team on the field in the country. And the fact that he's done it without transfers, although I have a feeling he's going to grab a few this year. But, I mean, listen, Josh Heupel clearly overachieved with Tennessee. Brian Kelly overachieved with LSU. You know how this works. I mean, Phil Jackson, I think, won 1 Coach of the Year award.
Yeah.
How many? 11 championships, 1 Coach of the Year? It's just, it's kind of the nature of the award.
You know who's never gone unbeaten in back-to-back years in the SEC? Nick Saban has never done that.
He's also in the, he did it in 08-09. He was unbeaten in 08 and then unbeaten in 09. He didn't win the SEC title in 08, but Kirby didn't win the SEC title last year. So Nick did it. He did it early. I don't know. I don't get Ben. I mean, come on. The guy's making $10, $11 million. I'm supposed to feel badly because he doesn't get some hardware?
I voted Lincoln Riley number 2, Jim Harbaugh number 3. They gave us a list. By the way, Josh Heupel wasn't even a finalist for the Eddie Robinson Coach of the Year. I voted Harbaugh 3, Sonny Dykes 4, and a guy that you don't pay any attention to, but we do here because he's from the Tennessee Valley. John Summerall was a finalist at Troy. That dude took over a 5-7 program and won 11-2 and won the Sun Belt in his first year with the same group of kids that were 5-7 the year before. I voted him number 5 on my list. That was what my ballot looked like. I thought Lincoln Riley did something really special out of USC, regardless of the fact that they flopped at the end in the Pac-12 championship game.
And I probably would have voted the way you wouldn't have wanted me to vote. To me, Kirby won every game he was supposed to. Jim won every game he was supposed to, except one. To me, Heupel, Lincoln Riley, Sonny Dykes, they probably would have been my top 3.
I did a commentary on Monday stating that I felt it was unfortunate when Nick Saban went Saturday night on his on their little tour, and I also felt like he would regret bringing up the fact that they would be favored in games against TCU, Ohio State, Michigan. They'd be a 4-point favorite against Michigan, according to Vegas. They'd be a pick 'em against Ohio State. They'd be a 9-point favorite over TCU. They were also an 11-point favorite over Tennessee and a 13-point favorite over LSU, and they lost the games. And my take was that, look, the game has to mean something. I mean, the result, the scoreboard has to mean something. And everybody knows I'm an Alabama fan. Everybody knows I love Nick Saban. But that was my commentary, and I got attacked by other Bama fans saying, don't you realize who your audience is? You're talking primarily to Alabama fans, and you're going to piss off your listeners. I'm like, well, I got to be honest. I thought that was a mistake, David. What was your take hearing that? It felt swarmy.
Well, I don't think it was a mistake going on the halftime of the Big Ten championship game. In fact, if I was Alabama, I would have tried to have gotten on halftime of the SEC championship game with Nick. And if they had called CBS and said, hey, after you do that Dr. Pepper thing, okay, Nick would, gladly give you guys 5 minutes, I think it would have been really difficult for CBS to turn that down. But I can't believe, Tom, and I mean I was stunned. Nick always looks great. Usually shirt, tie, jacket, okay? Hair looks good. The lighting is good. He's very prepared. His staff, the sports information department, the PR department, whatever, I couldn't believe how unprepared they were. This was like a political candidate just winging it with no talking points. And I thought he took totally the wrong approach. I thought he should have took the high road. He should have started the appearance by saying, hey, I want to congratulate TCU. Great season. We know how hard it is to cap it off with a donut. It's hard. And, and then same with Ohio State. We know what it's like to go 11-0 and lose to your arch rival in the last game of the regular season. So I'd like to congratulate both of them. The point I would like to make is that we play in clearly the toughest conference in the country. We have 6 teams in the top 25. The Big Ten and the Big 12 combined only have 6 teams in the top 25. And I think when you look at us, you should consider the fact that the third-place team in the Eastern Division of our conference has just kept 2 teams out of the playoff by beating Tennessee and Clemson back-to-back. If Tennessee or Clemson beat South Carolina, they're in the playoff at the expense of Ohio State. Okay, so I know you're inclined to put teams with 1 loss in ahead of 2, but I do think you need to try to consider what would life be like for them if they played in our conference and what life would be for us if we played in theirs. That, I thought, should have been his argument. High road, okay, I hope you give us serious consideration, enjoy the game. I can't believe that he looked the way he did, and that was the approach that they took. I was stunned. Yeah, he has looked. He's aged more this year. I mean, the guy is 70 years old,
It feels like he's aged a little bit more this year than he has in years past. I mean, the hair is thinning out. He's looking a little more tired. There's no doubt it's natural, and we can't hold that against him. But I get what you're saying. The interesting thing is that they are much better than TCU. TCU's 8-4 in the SEC. All right, but you can't make the case against TCU because they did go 12-0. They did beat teams that were ranked teams that, when they played them. They did beat Texas by worse than Alabama did, so on and so forth. And the moment that game went into overtime, it was over for Alabama fan. If you were hoping, I was working in my barn, right? And when it was an 11-point game, I was saying Kansas State wins this thing by double digits, Alabama's in. But when it went to OT, it was over.
I don't know if they're in, but I was thinking the same thing at 28-17. And I will say this, when K-State was up by 11 in the third quarter and they got a 3-and-out, I'm thinking, wow, Alabama's going to make the playoff because I'm thinking K-State's on a roll. They're going to put another score on the board, but then they muffed the punt. And I got TCU back in it, and even though K-State went back up by 11 again a half hour later, I thought that muffed punt actually was when Alabama's golden opportunity went by the wayside. I am curious, all of us, when we were watching, and by the way, based on the ratings, a lot of us were watching. I mean, the SEC championship game did like 11 million, Big Ten championship game did like 10.5, and the Big 12 title game did like 10.2.
Yeah.
So, the other conference championship games, when you combine the Pac-12 and the ACC combined, it only equaled the Big 12 title game. So
right.
We'll talk about that another day. But I am curious what everyone was thinking 8 minutes to go, 28-17, whether or not they were thinking, if this final holds, I think Alabama's going to get in.
That's what I was thinking at that number. But what the point I was going to make was, so Vegas says they're a 9-point favorite over TCU on a neutral field. They're a pick 'em against Ohio State. If you were to make an argument, the argument has to be, though, Alabama versus Ohio State, in as much as that neither one of them were playing the 13th game. They were both on the couch on Saturday. And what you have to decide is Ohio State getting boat raced at home, albeit late, but they got boat raced at home by 22 points, versus Alabama losing 2 last play of the game games on the road. So that was the thing. I thought that I don't think they were being measured against TCU, even though they're much better than TCU. I think they were getting measured against Ohio State, if at all.
I agree with that. I thought they would have been measured against TCU if the final held once 11.
Yeah, if it held up.
Once they went to overtime, you knew TCU was going to be in at the 3, and then it was just the Buckeyes against the Tide. Once again, Tom, I think the reason why I would have just gone big picture, high road if I was Nick in Alabama is I think if you start getting bogged down in the details, 1, you don't sound as good, and 2, I think this year's Alabama resume loses those arguments. 11-1 versus 10-2. Ohio State's loss was to a better team than either one of Alabama's losses. And yes, you want to go margin of victory. It could be pointed out, well, you were damn near a 2-touchdown favorite in both games. What are you doing losing?
Right.
And also, what was Alabama's best win? See, whether you consider it a really good win or not, Ohio State beat Penn State, which is top 10. Alabama barely has a top 20 win in Texas. All right, and then if you want to throw Mississippi State in for Alabama, well, Ohio State's got Notre Dame, and they kind of wash each other out. So I thought to get specific would have hurt Nick's cause. I thought if he went big picture and then he closed it by saying, by the way, this conference has won 12 of the last 16 national championships, and we're probably going to have at least 14 first-round picks in the upcoming draft. Again, if it's close, don't you think an SEC team, and he even could have been really magnanimous, any SEC team, you want to consider Tennessee, but don't you think if it's close that an SEC team should get the 4th spot over another conference? I thought he needed to go big, not small.
By the way, Tennessee would be a 5-point favorite over TCU. Just saying. I'm just throwing it out there. Now, those are Vegas numbers, not me. Those are Vegas numbers.
Yeah, I know, but also without Hooker, they're not the same team. And
that's true.
Tommy, we could argue for 20 years over this. Alabama, Ohio State, and them, they're always going to be favored. That's where the 5 stars go.
Right.
So, I mean, are we just going to put the teams who have the best recruiting in the playoff no matter what? I mean,
right.
You said something earlier, and you know I'm a big fan of. The games have to matter. They have to matter.
Yeah, scoreboard means something, and it's amazing, too. It's one of the great things about college football. I really don't think it will change much with the 12-team playoff, but that one moment in time, a 20-year-old kid putting his foot to a 47-yard field goal in Knoxville, that one moment in time could changes everything. Changes everything. Well, because we're not even having this discussion. That kid makes that kid, or one other play, or one play in the LSU game. I mean, just one little, you don't know. You watch the sport for 4 months, and you don't know what one play could change the entire fortune of a year.
No question. If the kicker for Alabama makes the kick against Tennessee, they're in the playoff. If they stop the 2-point conversion against LSU, they're in the playoff. They missed the playoff by a play.
By a play. And then who knows what would happen there. All right, before I let you go and you get on your plane to Philadelphia for the Army-Navy game, Tua Tagovailoa, they lose, and he did not look good against the 49ers. We've been talking about him like a MVP candidate, no doubt. This winning streak, Steelers, Lions, Bears, Browns, Texans. We're not talking about the toughest teams in the league. They get whacked out there against the 49ers. Next up is at the Chargers, then at the Bills, then home for the Packers, who are still the Packers. Could this whole thing fall apart in the next 4 weeks or so? Then they go at New England. I mean, this is a tough finish, and at home against the Jets, who are rejuvenated. Could this whole Tua love affair come crashing down as Mike McDonald love affair over the next 5 weeks?
I guess it could, and the Dolphins are not healthy right now. Both tackles missed the game against the Niners. The one tackle got put on IR. The other tackle is going to be game to game probably for the rest of the year. And I do think that Tua got a little spooked by the pass rush. There's no doubt. They were down 6 mid-fourth quarter with the ball. I mean, I think the final score was a little different than how the game actually went. But, yeah, he didn't like getting hit. He didn't like getting pressure. There's no question about it. I think this week's game against the Chargers is the big one. You got the whole Tua Herbert storyline, and the Chargers perfect how to lose. I mean, they had nearly 500 yards of offense against the Raiders last week. They scored one offensive touchdown. I mean, the Chargers find ways to lose. The Dolphins this year have found ways to win. This is a really big game. Also, games in primetime. I don't like their matchup at Orchard Park against the Bills. I don't think the Dolphins are a cold-weather team. And to avoid a 3-game losing streak, they need this one in L.A. I think they'll beat the Packers on Christmas Day. I think they'll beat the Jets regular season finale. So even if they go 3-3, Tom, the rest of the way, they'll win 11 games. They'll be a 5 or 6 seed. And, you know, they'll take their shots against Baltimore, Cincinnati, Tennessee, somebody like that.
The NFL totally screwed these guys. They moved their Sunday game to Sunday night, and then they moved their next Sunday game at Buffalo to Saturday. So not only did they Saturday
also,
night,
I believe it's Saturday night, so it'll be colder also.
But I mean, just the fact that you lose it, you got to come back from California, which now you're coming in at 7 in the morning by the time you get back from a night game in California. And, oh, by the way, you got a short week because you got to get ready to play on a Saturday. I mean, it's the NFL just screwed those guys.
Right.
Yeah.
A 3-game roadie in December. There's no doubt when that schedule came out. It was why it was so important. Those 5 teams you mentioned were combined 12 and 32 when Tua and the Dolphins faced them. And so that's why it was important to go 5-0, because when you looked at the finishing stretch, you went, wow, 500 here could be good.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, David Moulton has been our guest. David, we appreciate you so much. Great stuff. Be safe. Army-Navy game. Get your minutia ready. This is going to be good stuff. A lot of uniform minutia in that game with those 2 uniforms that these teams have come up with. But hopefully it'll be another great Army-Navy game. It's always tremendous.
And if people have never done it, find CBS Sports Network about 2.5 hours before the game. They do the march-on for both teams.
Yeah.
Goosebumps. And if you could turn in maybe 10 minutes early, we do usually a 4 to 5 minute package that gets nominated for an Emmy every year from about 2:55 to 3 o'clock as to what it means to play in this game and be a soldier and what have you. And I'm usually in tears, literally, when Brad and Gary are doing the open, standing right next to them, and I'm in tears. trying not to blow my nose too loudly.
What time is kick? Eastern time?
Kick's usually just a few minutes after 3. So if you could tune in 2:50-ish, you'll see the prepackaged open that we do. We put a lot of time and effort into it, and it usually it's tough not to cry, to be honest with you. It hits all the notes.
Do you know if Biden is scheduled to be at the game?
I don't know, because I would have had to have gotten an email about Social Security.
Yeah, I was going to say that would change your security clearances and all that kind of stuff.
Totally.
If you, yeah. Well, it's a little late in the day for him. 3 o'clock. Come on. He's an hour away from bedtime. Come on.
In fairness to him, most presidents go the year before an election year. Okay, so I would anticipate President Biden, if he's running for re-election, to be at next year's game in Boston. And that is another little special. I know you got to go. But 2 years ago with the pandemic, the game was at West Point. Last year it was in Jersey with the 20th anniversary of 9/11, the view. This year it's Philly. Next year it's Boston. Then it's D.C. Then it's Baltimore. So this game's got a little stretch where it's moving around.
Now, by Boston, you mean Foxborough, right? It's not going to be at Fenway.
Yeah.
Fenway would be
Fenway
would be amazing.
There's too many people who want tickets. They can't put this game in a stadium less than 60,000. This is the toughest ticket to get all year for us.
Right. Good stuff. All right, man. I appreciate you. Be safe.
You bet.
All right, thank you. David Moulton. It's good stuff. All right. There's some Tua news. Some Tua news for you. When we return, some Tua Tagovailoa news. That's pretty interesting. We'll have that next right here on the Thom Abraham Show. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com.
Rambo Marine in Hazel Green is your one-stop shop for all things boating. Whether you are ready to surf with the newest Malibu wake boat or to cruise in a Barletta pontoon, we have a boat ready for you and your family. Rambo Marine provides exceptional service second to none, so that you are ready to hit the water in no time. Stop by Rambo Marine today. We know boats.
It's an amazing time in our industry. Things are changing so rapidly. With digital signatures and workflow software, we help our customers work from anywhere. This helps you save time and money and upgrade your technology. Like I said, it's an amazing time to watch our customers grow and succeed.
Just ask anyone. The Lion Group.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying, but they can also signal a major problem, or worse, an electrical emergency. So play it safe and leave it to the experts at Mr. Sparky. Trust our team of professional, clean, and friendly electricians. We'll get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
There's nothing like celebrating the holidays with family and friends, and there's no better way to do that than to celebrate at Bad Daddy's Burger Bar. And if you haven't tried our chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness, then head on down and try one of Bad Daddy's award-winning burgers now. And you can pair them with one of our signature cocktails or a cold draft beer from our huge selection. Make your holidays extra merry with a trip to Bad Daddy's Burger Bar on the Parkway between Bob Wallace and Governors.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
TOC Sports has been there for you. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what does that mean? It means for more than 20 years, Alabama's largest orthopedic group has been there providing coverage and care to more schools and student athletes in the Tennessee Valley than any other group. It means whether you are the star football player, the all-region volleyball ace, or someone who hurt their knee in a weekend pickup basketball game, TOC Sports physicians are proud to have the opportunity to care for all your orthopedic needs. It means for parents, coaches, athletes, desk jockeys, or even weekend warriors, TOC Sports physicians continue to meet and exceed the orthopedic and sports medicine needs of our community. But most importantly, during these challenging times, we're here for you now and will continue to be here. So as long as there are players on the field, games to be played, and contests to be won, the orthopedic specialists from TOC Sports will be ready to help. We don't know what the future holds, but you can count on the TOC Sports team to stay committed to you so you can stay in the game. Call 256-539-2728 today and ask to see a TOC Sports physician. Check them out online, also Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman once again talking about a mostly cloudy or an overcast sky with scattered showers and thunderstorms through a good chunk of the afternoon, early into the evening. Temperatures should easily climb, though, into the upper 60s and lower 70s. Only dropping into the lower 60s as we head into the overnight. We might actually get a significant period of dry time on Thursday with a little bit of sunshine across the area. With that in mind, temperatures should climb into the low and mid 70s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Steve Moulton from The Drive. Be sure and join us today from 5 to 7 with Wes Neighbors and me. Now back to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Welcome back, Thom Abraham Show. The segment of the show is brought to you by North Alabama Mortgage. Brian Hamburger and his team at North Alabama Mortgage standing by to get you in the right mortgage property. If you're thinking new, you need North Alabama Mortgage. You need to be pre-approved, not pre-qualified, and so that you walk in when you see that house and you make that offer, you are ready to go, and that makes your offer that much more attractive. The other thing is with North Alabama Mortgage, just think about the refinance and get some of that dough out of your property, and you can get that done with a refinance from North Alabama Mortgage. Check them out, not only in Alabama, but Tennessee and Florida as well. It's North Alabama Mortgage. All right, phone lines are open. We'll be open the rest of the show, which is in about 20 minutes. And 256-576-4977 will get you in. It's 256-576-4977. I teased you about Tua Tagovailoa when we were going to break. Tua is the leading vote getter for the NFL's Pro Bowl games, they call it. And remember, there's no Pro Bowl anymore. They're going to go play, I don't know, canasta and ring toss or something. I don't know. What are they going to do? They're going to have like skill contests or something. I don't even know if these guys are going to show up for this stuff. They're going to play jarts. Do they make jarts? You can't get jarts anymore. They made them illegal, right? Lawn jarts. Remember lawn jarts? The thing, the big dart with the big heavy end?
These things are massive.
They're dangerous.
Yes.
They're going to play bocce
play chicken,
ball.
throw it up in the air.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, don't do that. Some kids
don't
do that. Don't do that. He didn't say to do that. Throw it straight up in the air and see if you can run away from it. Don't do that. Thing is split your head. Put an eye out with that thing. I don't know what the games are that they're going to do. There's some games that they're going to play. But in any event, they still pick Pro Bowlers. Tua Tagovailoa is the leading vote getter in the entire NFL.
A series of skill competitions and flag football matchups.
Okay. Flag football.
3 different 7-on-7 flag games will be held on the Chameleon Sunday.
Wait till somebody gets hurt during a flag game like the guy got hurt, Robert Edwards, doing a beach game. Right? Oh, we're going to play beach football. And Robert Edwards blew out his knee and ended his career. the rookie.
I just
the
love
beach
seeing
game.
them. I just love seeing them put it all out there for a dodgeball game and not for a football game.
The flag football game will have more hitting in it than the Pro Bowl has had the last few years. Justin Jefferson is second. Patrick Mahomes is third in the voting. Tyreek Hill is fourth. And Travis Kelce is fifth. And speaking of Travis Kelce, who is the next, Rob Gronkowski, the next Travis Kelce coming down the pike is the big tight end from Notre Dame. And he has decided to declare for the draft. Michael Mayer. He is considered the top tight end in the draft, number 8 overall prospect on Mel Kiper's big board. Michael Mayer, a true junior, is declaring for the NFL draft, and as such will skip the Gator Bowl against South Carolina. He said his decision to head to the draft after his third season at Notre Dame comes down to him being ready to be a pro. Something he said he realized could happen during his freshman year. He begins training for the draft January 2nd. Now, I don't know if he's graduated or not. It's Notre friggin' Dame. I thought you go to Notre Dame to get a Notre Dame degree. Maybe there's no way he can be graduating now. He's 2.5 years in. He's in the middle of his junior year. Mayer said, I really enjoyed my experience at Notre Dame. The first reason I picked Notre Dame was the outstanding education. No, the first reason I picked Notre Dame was the NFL. It was on my mind a very, very long time. I saw a lot of good tight ends in the NFL from Notre Dame. That was one of the main reasons I went there. Notre Dame! Finishes his career as the most productive tight end in Notre Dame history. And that's all fine. I wanted to come and win games and be a first-round draft pick at tight end. I set my sights on it, and that's what I've been working towards the last 3 years. Oh, so nothing about your team. Finish the season. Was playing in a Gator Bowl, is playing in one more football game going to change anything? You played in the last game. You played in the game before that game. Why'd you play in those games?
Most notable tight end that I can even remember, in the last few years, is Eifert and Kyle Rudolph, and those aren't world beater tight ends.
Your guy, what about Pitts? That's the best. Kyle Pitts. He's a freak. He's like a half a wide
from
receiver.
Florida.
Yeah.
But I'm saying when I'm talking about Notre Dame.
Notre Dame ones.
Yeah, Notre Dame tight ends.
Has a history. Dave Casper. They have a history of.
I'm just saying recently.
Recently.
Recently. Yeah.
I thought you were just talking about general tight ends to come out and be his nickname is Baby Gronk. He was nicknamed that as a freshman at Notre Dame. 6'5".
Oh, I was thinking about that little kid. They call him Baby Gronk.
Kid. Not the Baby Gronk.
He's like
6'5", 265 pounds. He says he studies Travis Kelce, more than Rob Gronkowski. He likes Kelsey's tactical route run. But why aren't you playing in your last game?
That's what I don't understand either.
Meyer said it'll be strange watching the Gator Bowl as he knows he'll wish he was out there. So be out there. Be out there. Go play in a game. Play in a game. By the way, I thought Jeff Brom was staying at Purdue. What happened to Jeff Brom was all in with staying at Purdue. The Louisville job opened up. And why is the Louisville job leaving for Cincinnati? Satterfield. Why does the guy, you leave Louisville, which is in the ACC, to go to Cincinnati, which is going to be in the Big 12? Something's weird about that. Is that not feel like a lateral move? Does Cincinnati have more money than Louisville?
I would have taken the Purdue job. I would have stayed in Purdue instead of taking the Louisville job.
Well, Jeff Brom is a Louisville guy, right? But he now is returning home. Mama called me home, apparently.
I understand.
And he is going to be named the next head football coach at Louisville. So he leaves Purdue. He took Purdue to the Big Ten championship game. Everybody just assumed, that he was going to go to Louisville, and he said, no, I'm going to stay at Purdue. And so he's going to Louisville. He was 36-34 overall at Purdue. So that's out there as well. All right, phone lines are open. Dale, if you want to hook back up, we'll get you in. 256-576-4977. I want to just throw a couple of baseball thoughts out there. We kind of started with a little bit of baseball with the big signing. Aaron Judge betting on himself. Him betting on himself, by the way, Grizz, netted him $147 million. Remember, he's like, nah, I'm good. The Yankees offered him $213 million in March. He's like, I'm good. I think they could have had him for $250 to $275. I remember back then they were saying $250 to $275, and he signs a long-term extension because they chicken bleeped him, and they offered him $213. He said, I'm good. Now it's $360. $147 million. But let me tell you, this game is going to look so different next year. I mean, I think all for the better. I mean, we all know about the shift being gone. But the bigger bases, Grizz, that means the distance from first to second is 4.5 inches less. That's huge. How many plays are bang, bang? When you're talking about Dansby Swanson, a guy that can steal a base, how many plays throws down to second are bang, bang plays, right?
Right.
4.5 inches.
How many times are you going to watch Ronald Acuna probably run every single time he gets on first
Every
base?
time.
Every time he gets on first.
And here's another thing that's flying under the radar. You can only throw over or step off twice.
Oh, wow.
Twice.
Yeah.
Per plate appearance. So when a dude is... So Acuna gets on, and a guy comes up to bat. The next guy comes up to bat. If you step off, that's one. You throw over, that's two. Now what? You cannot allowed to step off or throw over. He's gone. And here's what I don't understand. And I tried to call Josh Carey about it because I think they had this rule in the AA. So if the guy takes off, can you then throw? Can you throw to second to pick him off? You know what I mean? Let's say, you know what I mean? They say you can only throw over to first twice. So after you've already burned that up, the guy is gone. You can't throw over there. You just might as well start walking to second base. You can't throw over there. So what if he takes off? What if he fakes like he's taking off and you throw over there and he's going back in? Does that count? Because then you get to take your base.
Yeah,
you get to take second.
And what's considered a balk? Is that going to be something that?
No, it's considered. It's going to be adjudicated like a balk because the guy you get second if they throw over a third time. But what if he's going and you haven't pitched it yet, and then you know how you step off and then you throw to second to get him in a rundown or something? Is that considered? No. You already stepped off twice.
Oof. That's too much. Stop complicating baseball.
Well, I think though this is going to open up the running game. I like
the hit and run. I think it's going to be a lot of hit and runs. I'm going to love it.
A lot of hit and run. This is going to open up the running game, big time. The pitch clock in AAA, the pitch clock resulted in the games being 26 minutes shorter. 26 minutes, not 2 minutes, not 4 minutes. 26 minutes. That's a half an hour. That's fantastic. If that happens in a minute, that's fantastic. And then the final note on that was the shift. You know, Grizz, the shift is illegal now. You got to have two players on each side of the bag, and they have to have their heels in the dirt when the pitcher throws the pitch.
That makes sense.
They have to have but here's what they didn't address. You're going to see some unique looking things. You can't have four outfielders because you have to have two infielders on each side of the bag, but you don't have to have three outfielders. You can pull an outfielder into the infield and have five infielders. Furthermore, you could pull a guy. You know how they always have that guy in short right field when they do the shift?
Yeah.
Well, you can pull a guy into short right field. It has to be an outfielder. So you could you could take and split your two outfielders, your left fielder and your center fielder, let's say. You split those two guys and take your shot there and pull the right fielder in and play shallow right. So you're going to see you're going to see some different kind of shifting. It just won't be the infield.
So there's the end of the shift, but yet you can still shift the outfield. Like you can still
the
move
outfield
people
you
around.
can shift.
Yeah.
You could put all three outfielders in left field.
It makes sense.
But I wonder what people will do. Can you do it? Will you put all three outfielders in left field? You could put one outfielder short and put the other two outfielders deep. Could pull the center fielder, suck them into short center. It's going to be interesting. Johnny on a cell. Johnny, what's going on?
Well, clearly, Big Dog, the College Football Playoff Committee did not take the 4 best teams.
No.
I mean, please.
As far as we know. Yeah.
Just like last year, Cincinnati did not belong in the playoffs.
No.
And this year, TCU does not belong in the playoffs.
Well, every year there's a team like that. You know, Michigan State didn't belong in there. When Alabama boat raced them 38-0, Michigan State had no business being in. But Ohio State didn't belong in there when they went 11-1 and Penn State won the Big Ten championship. Ohio State didn't belong in there, and they got boat raced. There's always a team in there that shouldn't be in there.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, you know, they claim that their job is to get the 4 best teams. And, you know, that's clearly not what they did. I mean, they bowed to enough mouths in the media to make sure that they didn't have a Big Ten SEC Final Four, which is probably what they should have had. I mean, look,
that's what we would think. But Johnny, doesn't the scoreboard mean something? I mean, even though if you go, because in other words, why even play the season?
Big Dog. Look, I mean, it won't matter when we go to 12. When you go to 12, it's going to get. I mean, you know, there's going to be a lot of blowouts when there's 12 teams. But I mean, these two semifinals are going to be snooze fest. Michigan will boat race TCU, and I believe Georgia will beat the crap out of Ohio State.
I think that game's going to be a game. I think that one will be a game. I think the Ohio State-Georgia game will be a game.
Michigan beat them by 23, Big Dog, and they didn't look that good there. And Georgia is way better than Michigan. When the time comes and it all falls out, it's going to be 2 blowouts and then a 3rd blowout in the final because Georgia is the best team in football this year. They look like Bama used to look, and, you know, I don't see anybody coming close. I mean, Kirby's going to get back-to-back wins.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree that they do look like Bama pass, but usually right when you think it's one way, you know, that's when we get surprised. But
TCU
but I do think
and Ohio State proved me wrong, but I believe they're both going to get beat by 17 or more.
All right.
I don't think we got any kind of competition in those 2 games. And if you'd had Bama in there, Bama had the athlete to take down any of the 4.
Got to win your games, though, man. You got to scoreboard. You got to win your games.
Okay, Big Dog. 17 freaking penalties at Tennessee, and half of them weren't legit. I don't care.
Half.
I mean, they weren't. I mean, when we intercepted the ball on the goal line, the dude was at the 40-yard line before the guy pulled a hanky out of his pocket.
Right.
Anytime the balls needed a play in that game, the referees gave it to them.
Yeah, there shouldn't have been interference on that. By the way,
if we don't chase the points at LSU instead of just kicked extra point, we don't go to overtime in that game. I mean, you can't. Yeah, I mean, but seriously, Big Dog, on the road in both of those locations, when we played Ole Miss, they were top 10. When we played other schools, they were in the top. I mean, Tennessee ascended to. Look, if anybody had a complaint against us, it would have been Tennessee. But they weren't the same team without Hooker. I mean,
but they weren't the same team with Hooker when they went to
playing at the end of the game. And if we had injuries, I mean, Saban pointed it out. Bryce was not the same kid until late in the season again. I mean, we jumped on Arkansas, but before he got hurt, it was a runaway game. And Arkansas was supposed to be one of those schools that was going to give us grief. I just don't. I mean, look, like I said, if the job is supposed to get the best 4 teams, great. If they want to say the most deserving teams because of their records,
that's where they went.
Losses, that's how they went. But they didn't go for the best 4 teams. And let's not even claim that they did because they didn't even come close to that.
Yeah. All right, Johnny, I appreciate you, man.
And they're going to get blacks in the championship series.
All right, Johnny, it's a good job by you. It's Johnny on the cell. He's passionate about it. I get it. I also can't ignore the scoreboard.
It's a little weird. Texas and Tennessee were like the most penalties in the Saban era and in the Alabama era.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but a lot of them were pre-snap penalties. I mean, stop jumping off sides.
Exactly.
Stop lining up off sides. Stop doing stupid crap. Stop sending 12 guys out for the punt team. Let's get a break. We'll come back and wrap it up. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Sitting here with Mark Kent of Southern Fidelity Mortgage Group of Huntsville. Mark, do you help pre-qualify people?
We pre-qualify people all the time, Wes. As a matter of fact, I love having them coming in here because when they come in and they pre-qualify, they can leave my office knowing exactly how much they can buy and have no worries.
Mark, tell me about your rates and pricing.
Well, Wes, this is something we're really, really proud of. Long story short is, I love being able to provide the best pricing in town. Honestly, I cannot tell you the last time I lost a deal to either rate or pricing, something I'm very proud of.
So what all financing options do you have, Mark?
We do several different things. If you're purchasing a home, we can handle the purchase. If you're wanting to refinance your home, of course, rates are at the lowest they've been in the last 3 years. We do a lot of refinancing. If you're building a home, we can handle the entire process from breaking ground to the final close.
Do you sleep with your phone?
Wes, if you want to reach me, you can call me at my office phone, which is 256-562-1000. But always remember, I sleep with my cell phone at night. That number is 256-656-5936.
New Year's Eve in Nashville has a new twist this year.
Touchdown, right up the middle, 45 yards.
The 25th annual Trans-Perfect Music City Bowl is Saturday, December 31st at 11 a.m.
Still on his feet, touchdown!
Get your ticket to the biggest party in Nashville as the Iowa Hawkeyes and Kentucky Wildcats square off at Nissan Stadium. For more information on this year's game, including ticket availability, visit MusicCityBowl.com. Presented by the Tennessee Lottery.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
TOC, Orthopedic Center for all your injury needs. It is the Orthopedic Center that'll get you right. Whether you were injured in athletics or whether you were injured at work, TOC has been taking care of folks in the Tennessee Valley for over 20 years, and they can take care of you. That's TOC Sports. All right, that's going to do it for the radio show today. We will have a Beat the Big Dog coming up tomorrow. Grumpy says Johnny on a cell has got to be Johnny Kleenex now. See, I understand the passion of his argument. And I think, most reasonable people believe that Alabama is a better football team than at least TCU and maybe Ohio State. Probably Michigan. They'd be a 4-point favorite over Michigan. But you got to win your games. At the end of the day, you got to win the games. You can't lose 2. You can't make all these mistakes in 2 games. You got to win at some point in time. Otherwise, what's the point of playing games? I really appreciate Johnny's passion, though. That's what we live on. We live on passion. All right, coming up next, it's the Paul Feinbaum Show right here on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
you know that your car or truck or SUV may be worth up to 30 or 40% more than it was last year? It's true. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and now is the perfect time to trade in, trade up to a gold certified or blue certified pre-owned car, truck, SUV, or crossover. While our new vehicle inventory continues to build back, our Ford Blue Advantage certified pre-owned vehicles are nearing 100 models to choose from, and a good variety too. Woody Anderson Ford Gold certified vehicles are 6 years or younger with less than 80,000 miles and have passed 172-point inspection by factory certified technicians. They have a 14-day, 1,000-mile money-back guarantee, a great comprehensive limited warranty, 24-hour roadside assistance, and go home with full tank of gas and a fresh oil change. Get nearly a new ride and none of the worries. Woody Anderson Ford, Jordan Spartman. Hope to see you soon.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. From Coleman to Fayetteville and all points in between.
Son, pull the hammer back. Smokey's coming at you in a plain white wrapper.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
And welcome to the middle of the week. It's Wednesday. Thanks for being a part of our program. We have a lot to do today, so why waste another second? Okay, we'll get right to the headlines and tell you what you've been missing.